Hello there. This is Craig Hane, Dr. Dale, and I've written this book called Public School Math is Destroying the USA, How and Why That is Happening. And now, as the author of the book, I want to describe to you what's in it briefly. There's 5 parts to it, and this is going to be about part 2. There's another video about the other parts, so you can watch the other videos as well as you want to. But this is about part 2 of this book and why I think it's important that you read it if you want to really fully understand how and why this book came about and why it's true. And so to do this, I'm going to share the screen. And for one reason I'm doing it is you can get a free copy of this book if you want to by going to my personal website, craighane.com, CRAIGHANE.com. On that website is my story, my vita, and a video library with lots of free videos in it, all sorts of free stuff in it. And there's 4 tabs down here. One of the tabs is how to improve your life. And any young adult you know ought to go and look at that. But what this is going to be about is the tab below that is how to get your free ebooks. And you click on that, and that will take you to another page that has the free ebooks on it. I have a lot of them, not just one, but this is the Public School Math is Destroying the USA. It's a PDF on that. And you click on it, and there's your PDF of it. And you'll see that I go up to the top here, there it is. It's exactly what you would get, except it's in PDF format now. You can go to Amazon, by the way, and buy it for less than $5 if you want a hard copy of it. I did the other video already on part 1, and so I'll assume that you maybe have watched that or know about it. And this is on part 2. And on part 2, it's my stories about my life. Now, you don't have to read part 2. Part 4 is what tells you what's wrong with public school math. There's 4 chapters that tell you that. And part 5 tells you what to do about it today to deliver your student a great math education in this 21st century. So you don't need to read this, but a lot of people want to know, how did this all come about? After all, I was born way back at the end of the Great Depression. I was a hick from the sticks. And how did this ever come about that I could possibly have done what I've done in life? And so these are my stories. Now, in chapter 7, I tell how and why I love math through the 8th grade. And it all starts, I had a great teacher when I was 5 years old, my Uncle Jack Davis, and he taught me how to count and practical math. And I tell all that story, and it's pretty inspiring, I think. But then when I got into high school, I had a terrible experience. I flunked Algebra 1 in the 9th grade. Okay? It was a terrible thing. And I explained that. In fact, I was very depressed because I was told then by my principal and my counselor that I was not college material. I would never go to college, although my parents had always told me I would. But in the 10th grade, I had a wonderful teacher. Now I had my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Madonna O'Hare, and I loved geometry, and I tell about that. And then back into my junior year, I had another big problem. I had Algebra 2, and I had the same teacher I'd had for Algebra 1, and I didn't like it. Well, as you learn now, I became a troublemaker because I had confidence now. I'd gained in geometry for Miss O'Hare, and now I tackled Mr. Hardman, who was the algebra teacher, and he didn't like it, and I don't blame him. And then that same year, my junior year, I had my first paid teaching experience. I call it the Fearless Freddie U story, if I find that interesting. What I find is when you're learning something, if you can teach it to other people as you're learning it, you'll learn it better. And it's fun to do. And it turns out it can even be profitable to make money doing it. And then what was going to happen? My senior year, I was going to have that same teacher I had for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 for trigonometry and solid geometry, and a miracle happened. And I tell you that in chapter 12, and you'll need to learn about the miracle. And it really all had to do with the fact that I lived in Greencastle, Indiana. There's a university there, DePaul University. And believe it or not, I was able, as a special student, to go to DePaul and take college algebra. And guess what? I had a great teacher. He became my 3rd grade teacher, and I got an A in it, and it got me ready for college, to the great surprise of my principal and my counselor. I also that year had my first classroom teaching experience, I tell. And then at the end of high school, I was off to, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, but at the end of high school, I was off to now college. And it turned out I went to the #1 liberal arts college in the United States, I'll tell that story and how that came about. I don't want to say by accident, but it was one of these things that it's hard to believe it happened. It's one of these things that I believed I would go to a good college. I've been taught that. I tell that on other videos about my doubting Thomas experiences. I believed I would go to a good college, and it turned out I did. And then I explain and get into that in part 3, which you can watch part 3 if you want to. And part 3 is again about me. Now in part 4, in 4 chapters in part 4, I tell you what's wrong with public school math today. Education, I'm talking about. And by the way, it's not the teacher's fault. I'll make sure you know it. Part 5, I tell you what's amazing. There's a 21st century program today that I've been able to create with modern technologies, really standing on the shoulders of billions of dollars worth of technology. That's unbelievable how great it is. And I have hundreds and hundreds of students using it, and it's available. It can actually be available virtually for free. It's not free, but it can be free if you do a little help me do it and spread the word. So this is chapter part 2. I will see you now on the next video on part 3, and hope you enjoy it. And I hope that you become inspired to read the book and share the information with people that will benefit from it. So this is Craig Hane. I'll see you on, hopefully, another video. Bye-bye.